Hey, hi there. How are you?
Hi, sir.
Can you hear me okay?
We will be starting in, yes, sir. Yeah. We will be starting in 2 minutes. You can all call up
I
your
can't
friends.
hear you. Do you mind speaking up a little bit?
So now you can hear me?
Tanishq,
Yeah. Hi, sir.
can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
A very good evening to all of the people present. Thanks for joining in to the second keynote session of Founders Speak. Founders Speak is a monthly event to connect aspiring entrepreneurs with successful founders and serial entrepreneurs with great exits. The speaker will share their journey to the startup ecosystem and how they tried their venture to make it a success. I'm very honored to introduce our speaker for today's session, Mr. Krishna Vedati. Krishna sir is an alumnus of IIT BHU, batch of 1991, from the Department of Computer Science, and has completed his MS from West Virginia University. After having 20 years of experience with various separate companies, Krishna sir co-founded Tinker, which is a kids programming platform headquartered in Mountain View, California, and have taught more than 60 million kids to date. So, sir, I would kindly request you to please share your startup journey with our budding entrepreneurs. Over to you, sir.
Well, thank you, Tanishq. Good evening to all of you in India, and good morning to my buddy here, Gopal, who's also on the chat. Looks like perhaps he's in India as well. Thanks for inviting me this morning. What I thought I would do today is I'm going to share, hopefully I can share my screen, a presentation.
Yes, sir.
Let's see if I get first out there. Somebody needs to give me screen sharing. Thank you. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what I was going to spend my time this morning is first go through a bit about me and then talk about Tinker. Otherwise, it's not a good use of my time, but I'll make it very brief, both of them. And then, we'll talk about my thoughts on entrepreneurship. But in the third section, I would like you to all participate. You have to participate in the section. So be ready to hopefully, I can't see it on chat. Is there a chat way of seeing the chat window while we're talking? We'll see, we'll figure it out, unless unmute yourself. So I want this to be more of a conversation versus me speaking. So hopefully we can accomplish that. With that, that's my info there. So let's go into what's my journey looks like. So I've had undergrad 91 computer science from our esteemed school, and then I did masters in computer science in US afterwards. Right after school, I got a job at a 5-person startup. It actually was a serendipitous way. They found me on the internet. At that point, it's called DARPANET. And they gave me a job. Two Bell Lab engineers found the company. And what I've learned in that job, it's performance testing software. What I've learned in the job is wrote a lot of code, understood real world customer problems. And the company got sold to IBM, and I made no money because I had no shares. And then the lesson I've learned is like, what does it take to build a company? Like, I think it's about solving customer problems and building something unique. Spent about almost 5 years there, or 4.5 years. And no regrets. It's here I want to talk about life lessons a bit. And please switch on your videos if you want, so I can get to see you guys as well. And then I moved to Silicon Valley, where I ended up working at a startup, which is a security startup. The main purpose of that is to understand Silicon Valley ecosystem, how it works. This was in 1998. I also took time to write some programming books at that point, just to highlight my career. It also connects back to my current passion of helping kids learn coding. I co-authored 2 programming books there. The first startup was a company called Covigo in 2000. This is the height of internet. I've partnered with one of our seniors. His name is Srinivas Mandyam. He's a computer science grad from IIT BHU. We always knew it as IIT BHU, so I might end up saying that. And then, every company needs to have a bit of a vision. In this case, we just wanted to build a platform for mobile internet. At that time, you guys are probably not born either. So there was little WAP phones. They called WAP phones. The biggest thing about the startup was we didn't have a specific problem. We just were trying to build a platform, assuming that customers will find problems to solve. The business model was, trying to enterprises will pay, which is enterprises being big companies or small companies. And the company didn't really succeed. I mean, it did okay. We didn't lose money, but it wasn't a big success. The reason is that we didn't really solve a specific customer problem. We just were building a big platform, assuming customers will figure out how to solve their own problems. That was the first startup, raised a lot of money there, almost 20 million. The second startup was a company called Plasma, after, going through the journey first time. That was in 2005. I spent a few years at Motorola. The company acquired the first one. And with the same team, we started again in the mobile internet space. This time, the problem was, we were all using mobile phones at that time, to use like a website like Cricinfo, maybe you all know this. We had to go to first AT&T.net, and then there'll be a menu, and the menu will only give you CNN or ESPN, and then they'll say, go to URL, and you type Cricinfo. whatever. And, it was like a 10-step process to access internet. So we wanted to kind of free the world from, these walled gardens of the operators. And the business model at that time, again, I haven't learned from the first company, there was no business model, right? So we raised about $1 million worth of angel capital. We were just, again, building something really cool, but with the purpose of freeing people from the walled internet of mobile. What happened was, in 2 years into it, we built some beautiful, service, and we were running out of money. So when you run out of money, the key thing is either you raise more money, or you need to go raise, you find who will pay you, right? So to kind of feed yourself. At the time, finally, we figured out, looked into the service and say, okay, we are able to provide a service where users are using this. What exactly are they using? And then ended up learning that most of them are using to access 3 things: gossip, which is movies and news, sports, and then, adult material, like porn content. So this was obviously, so ended up looking at that and say, why don't we build like beautiful streaming sports services? And we ended up building that, and made money, and the company got acquired by AT&T. And the lesson I've learned that is focus on what customers want, right? And if you understand, the customers, we have a couple of million users using it. What they wanted was, real-time sports content in a beautifully formatted way. So that's what we're able to provide them, and that company became reasonably successful. Investors made money and employees made money, so we're all happy. That was in 2009, and then I was at AT&T for about 3 years. I was senior vice president there. Managed local search business there. Learned a lot from lots of people there and different kind of business. That brought me to the current journey called Tinker. Okay, so why did I start Tinker? Tinker was a personal project to help my own son to learn computer programming. He was 7 years old. He went to a summer camp here locally in Silicon Valley, and the camp guide, as basically a teacher, basically taught them how to make a computer game. But the way they taught them was like step by step by step, do this step, that step, open this editor, do this step. It was nothing fundamentally changed in his knowledge of what computer programming is and how to think about it. So that spurred on to creating a open source programming language that we wanted to, the same team. I've had this team for 18 months. I worked with this team for 18 years. We ended up building a programming language for younger students with a sense of open sourcing it, not to really build a business. But over time, we thought about the problem and said, this is what we want to do at scale, and ended up building Tinker. So I'll spend 5 minutes here. I won't bore you with my stories. The Tinker, what happens is companies need to have vision, which is like, what is the change you want to see in the world? And the mission is, what is the current, a measurable metric you want to change? A company who can have a broader vision, and the mission statements can change over time. Think of NASA. NASA's vision is like, to explore the worlds beyond, right? To space and beyond. If you look at missions, NASA has like multiple mission statements that they can go through when they want to go to the moon, or they want to go through putting orbital vehicles. So our vision is to kind of see the world where every next generation can make anything they want with code. Next generation being the younger generation. That's the kind of what keeps us, motivated on a daily basis and makes us do things that matter to that vision. Why Tinker? Why is this needed, right? Like a lot of times we have to also ask why. Why is that? Why are we doing this, right? If you look at the younger generation now, the technology is constantly changing, and even around us, right? Well, let's take a few examples. Lightning, there used to be candles, now we have LED lights, right? There's, medicine done by, people with, guesswork, to robots doing medicine now, right? Warfare, horse-drawn carriages to stealth fighters, right? And communication, like, from pigeons to, what is it now, new thing called Signal, I suppose. What all of this has in common is technology, underpins our modern world. And it's important that our children learn this, is one, why Tinker wants to exist. Second is jobs. We're all worried about jobs. Jobs also been taken over by computing, as well as, bank teller. We never go to banks now. We just use mobile phones. Receptionist, we can have a virtual receptionist, accountants. You don't need an accountant. You just need a tax software. Travel agent, you just go to book my trip, right? Or we go here, wherever we're going. So, or make my trip. I don't know what that is called. So so the concept is that software is taken over. Lots of things are getting automated, and new jobs will show up. And as I talk to youngsters, college students in India or everywhere, everybody's learning machine learning, data science, whatnot, right? So the whole concept is like, the jobs are being replaced with software, And the great thinkers of our generation say that every child needs to learn computing because it teaches you how to think. And I think I agree with that statement. More importantly, it makes you kind of, apply your own ideas. These are super important. So what is Tinker? So I've given all this jnana about like why Tinker and what we need to do. What is Tinker? Think of it as a playground, digital playground where students can learn programming and make things that matter to them. It's all done through software. You don't need a teacher. We believe in that self-learning. Of course, teachers are great. They can help you, but self-learning is amazing, right? And they make amazing things, whether they make games that matter to them, they make, whatever they would love to, that's what. And with the bigger mission is, our mission is like, how do we empower these students to learn programming, the lens of what they want? If they're into games, can they learn games through programming through games? If they're into art, can they learn programming through art? If they're into like robotics, can they learn through, or just for the fun of learning programming or music? And so we tend to do what is interesting, what is important for the child, because no kid wants to learn programming, especially if you ask US kids, what would you like to do? They'll say, I like to play Minecraft with my friends. I'm sure the same in India, but our parents will keep pushing us, saying you have to learn programming or you have to learn math because you can clear IIT. But that's not what in their head, though. If you really want double click, they want to do something fun. So how do you inject fun into learning? That so give them the paths that matter to them, and then in doing the exploration of those paths. Let's say they're into music. Why can't they explore computing through the lens of music? That's what we do. We provide tools, content that enables them to do that. We provide, different experiences of different age groups. If they're very younger, like 4 to 7, they basically don't read. We give them icon-based programming all the way up to high schoolers can learn JavaScript, Python. So the onboarding, and of course we're not perfect, but we strive to make sure every time that the right age group gets onboarded correctly, they get the right content, right learning experience, right fun, collaboration with fellow friends and things like that. So it's been 8 years. What did we do? There are about 80 million students have learned programming with Tinker, which is we're super proud of. And I am, it makes me happy in the morning when I get up and see students learning. 68 million creations. That's the key. Are they building? Are they just learning, right? Like we all learn, but can we make? Are built by students, shared among each other. We safely moderate that community, and we are grateful for these young makers. This is what makes Tinker what it is. Our goal is to help hundreds of millions of students around the world, both the haves and have-nots. When I say haves, the students that cannot afford to pay to the students that can afford to pay. Our greatest aspiration is to kind of, some of these 80 million students will go change the world for the better. Right? So that's my simple Tinker journey. I want all of you to, go explore it. And my good friend Himanshu is on call. If you want to do internships or help be part of the journey, please ping as well. So I will stop. That's my story of how from college to Tinker and a bit of a Tinker. What I want to do now is to kind of, over time, I, along with the team, hacked my way to become an entrepreneur from an engineer. And, in the process, I've read books, asked, mentors, and learned a few things about, what does it take to become an entrepreneur? And here is where I want, it'll be a question answer based set of 10 or 10 slides. Hopefully it'll be fun. I don't see chat window here for some reason. I hope, I love to, for you to participate here. Does it make, right? And I see my buddy, who helped make Plusmo successful. Sushil is also on. He is a lawyer cum engineer. You all need to get LinkedIn with them. So you'll get something amazing out of it as well. Sushil, morning to you. So let's see. And you know, so one thing I want to say is that companies are about teams. I want to put that first. And I might not come across as this is like, it's not, you know, I saw my, you know, this little thing about, you know, introduction. I don't think that we would have made any of these, I would have been made any of these companies successful without the greatest team members I've had. Amazing. So they're all super important. You know, you could have a vision, but vision can only go so far. So let's go with that, right? Let's see. First, I'm going to ask a question, right? What's common among these people? Can you guess this? So when, let's see, they
are self-made.
Yeah, they're all self-made. They're all entrepreneurs, right? In different, different ages, different genres of, you know, from. Okay, so this is great. Now I can see the chat. I've been little. So basically, you know, they're all entrepreneurs in different technological ages. You know, Amar Bose built the most amazing speakers that, you know, noise-breaking speakers, and then graduated MIT. Oprah Winfrey built a beautiful, you know, news network coming out of like, you know, poverty and, you know, really like tough, you know, childhood, to the new age, you know, heroes of like Steven, who built YouTube that we cannot live without, from Stanford. So there is all entrepreneurs, right? Jack Dorsey built Twitter, you know, which has become like semi, you know, super famous for the current elections. So everybody changed the world, right? Arian Huffington built the new age news network. And then, so if they're all entrepreneurs, the key is that, you know, who is an entrepreneur, right? So everybody, this is like everybody who's an entrepreneur, right? It's not a job title, right? Then what is it? I would love for you guys to produce, have your questions, comments. I can see it. If you don't want to speak, just keep typing, right? So what do you think an entrepreneur is? So, you know, it's a state of mind of people who want to alter the future. You know, you got to think about this way, right? You think about some vision in your mind of what you want to change, and, you know, problem solver. Yes, you know, in another way, in a larger way, basically. Thanks, Prashant, for writing whatever it is, but you know, it's who want to alter the future, right? If you think about, you know, people, YouTube, they wanted to give everybody a voice. You know, they wanted to see a future in which everybody has a voice, right? You know, from people like, I've learned how to make different sabjis here during lockdown using from all the amazing Indian cooks, right? And see, I think you all know here, there are brilliant answers here in the chat, right? Why do you want to start a company? Right? The second thing is, okay, you have a vision, you want to change the future, but next thing is, why would you want to, you know, start a company, right? What's the reason? Like, what you have to have a reason to start a company. Somebody's saying giving service and maybe aim to making profit. Sure, you know, but I think there's got to be fundamentally bigger, you know, change the world. Yes. I think you want to kind of first want to innovate a service or a product that makes the world better. I think if you have a purpose like that, things won't distract you. You get up in the morning, you will like think about that purpose, and it'll, you know, inspire you. But if And I sincerely hope that you don't start a company to become rich, because there's no guarantees. You might raise money, but you can lose it all and be very, depressed, right? If you miss it, if you do it for that purpose, um, or somebody said something that which you want to make. Sure, yeah. I mean, if there is you want to make and use the service or a product, of course, I think there are many people out there that might want as well. Like, I might not be able to read everybody's comment, but so let's think about companies that have this purpose, right? Like, let's maybe look into like, what is Google's purpose, right? I'm sure, like, because these are great companies, is to organize world's information so everybody can access it, right? And I think they have done a phenomenal job of that, right? So we can't live without that service. YouTube, right? And it's my favorite. Like, I love this service. There's education, there's entertainment, there's everything there. It's amazing service, right? Gives everybody a voice, all the creators, right? I mean, when it came on, that was like, now I think there's lots of services that give creators a lot of voices, right? And even, the much liked or misliked company, you know what that company is, right? Facebook. I guess no longer. These slides, I made it like 7 years back. So, make the world more open and connected. That's their vision. They want it, whether they are doing a good job or not, to be this thing, but it's still an amazing service that brought the world together. It's able to, so the purpose is like, you have they're innovating purpose to make the world better. The vision statement that kind of speaks to them. And you're starting companies, write that down. Why? I think I would like you to write a statement on a piece of paper. If my company didn't exist, the world will not be better off because. Before you start companies, you and your co-founders, you have to write that statement. If my company does not exist, the world will be worse off because. Right? And it helps you kind of think why you're starting the company. What is that you're changing? And it doesn't need to be like, I have to become like every single person in the world needs to be better off. It could be, the world could be the world of like service providers, the world of technicians, the world of like cooks, the world of like, normal day-to-day, blue collar workers. It could be anything. The world can be smaller or bigger, but it needs to have a purpose. And let's take like, sometimes we talk about service and products, right? Like, let's think about service and products, right? What, how do you think about these things? What does that mean by innovating, right? So here again, I'm going to have a series of questions and I'm going to put up a slide, this thing, you need to guess. Okay, so a few of them, not all of them. You have this product. Some of you might know this. This is called like a BlackBerry. At our time generation, when we came up, this was like the defining phone or our data device. Like there's nothing. It ruled the world for about 10, 15, 20 years, I think. And a Canadian company, it's called RIM. They made this. And then one great entrepreneur showed up, although Sushil will disagree with me, this is like from whether it is, and made this, right? So great companies innovate the next thing. What did they do? BlackBerry is amazing, or Nokia. In this case, I guess Nokia copied the BlackBerry design. So that's kind of, and then, you still have to type in, and then all of a sudden Steve Jobs comes around, Apple comes around and say, all you have to do is touch. And what these great things do is that my mother-in-law would not have been able to use the phone on the left to me, right? But my mother-in-law can easily use the phone on the right to enjoy the information age. It's the next thing. And every day we can't live without this touch-based, this kind of simplicity of access to information, right? So great companies think of the next. It's hard, but if you build the next thing, you'll build great companies, right? And then great companies are built by great innovators, right? You have these amazing innovators building amazing things. What do innovators do? They do old things better. Sometimes they do new things, but they also sometimes do old things better, right? So there is this. We all buy here in the pandemic. This is running out of, like, in US, you cannot buy a bike now because everybody wants to buy a bike. So it's $200 bike, and sometimes it's 2,000 or 20,000. And somebody built this, right? So you think of this, and this is a cardboard bike that costs $9, made of cardboard. So when you're thinking of, like, you look at things in your life and you want to make things, transformative things, then you need to think transformatively. And I put links up there at the top, like, about these things. So so you have this, right? From a transformative world of, like, I'm sure some of you have still in the houses have these, right? Great products break down back barriers, right? So what products happen here? Any guesses that broke down this barrier that's connected to a wall, and you have to pick up and dial, and there are all these, right? It's completely, you don't belong anywhere. The Skype, Viber, WhatsApp, everywhere, right? So reimagining great products, doing the same fundamental foundational thing, but like completely taking the barriers out of the system, right? These are tough things, WhatsApp is built here with 40, and see, some of these companies like Skype or WhatsApp, there are, generational companies, right? Skype to build a, open internet to everybody in a secure way. WhatsApp with 40 people building something really simple, super simple. Like they've reimagined the entire, experience to build that. And India, I'm sure, can't live without it. Somebody asked me, does a cardboard bike hold the weight of everyone? I hope so. I'm sure he's thought about it. It's hard and cardboard. It's an amazing innovation. So these are the great products, that it's not durable still. I think, please don't focus on, ripping off somebody in innovation, but it is pretty durable. You should check it out before you speak. The second thing I talk about is, like, great products make the world better, right? So let's take one example of that, right? You know what this is? Please don't Google that URL, but like make guesses. I'd love to see somebody guess this. No guesses? Okay. It's a wind-powered toy that blows up landmines in Afghanistan. Okay, so they're suffering from these war, atrocities of war, where tons of landmines, kids who are losing their limbs. This innovator figured out, just build these. This is all made with, like, it's a 70 kilograms it weighs, because you need pressure for the landmine to detonate. And it'll go around with the wind, because it's a circle, it's a spherical shape. As the wind blows, it goes everywhere, and it just traverses, there's no autonomous robots, there's no electronics. It blows up, and it basically becomes like bamboo sharpener. What an amazing innovation, in the realm of what is available to change the world, right? So I think so somebody said bomb diffuser, yeah. So that's the kind of thinking you have to kind of outthink, So I know, because the current world tells us what feature to build for another product, but it's important to think about what you want to build. That makes. So let's go into entrepreneurs a little bit, right? What do they have? What quality? Can anybody kind of type, like, qualities of entrepreneurs that you think should have? Risk takers, vision, okay? Don't give up. leaders, learners, creative positivity, discipline, long-term plan, burning desire, be change makers, all of amazing. So you're all ready actually to be entrepreneurs. Patient, sincere, thinkers, never give up, consistency. So let's think about vision and passion, right? Very important. You got to be passionate. You got to what you want to do. You got to be like, you got to have a vision. Like Bill Gates, like you wanted to have a personal computer in every house when there was not, you can't even think about it. Expensive. This was $10,000-$20,000. He wanted to make that dream a reality, and in his lifetime made not only that and many others. Right? He's an amazing entrepreneur. Now he's a social entrepreneur. Creativity and self-starting, right? And in terms of like be able to with self-start, you got to start, right? You got to go out and do it. You can't say you can't build an electric vehicle, or you can't build a autonomous self-taking off rockets, things like that. And there are many more, right? So yeah, confidence is very important. People skills, right? Not necessarily, you have to tell your story. End of the day, when you build companies, you got to tell stories. Companies are about telling stories initially because you want people to come and join you. You want to be able to, build together, right? And people skills are important. Or your product speaks so well to the world that you don't really need them initially. Sometimes that works too. Work ethic, perseverance, right? Somebody said that. I think you all said all of it. Who's the last person? Do you know? Person in the picture?
Edison.
Yeah, amazing. So he's failed so many times to get us the electric bulb that we need, right? We can't live without. So I think all of these, like there's some of these qualities. I just want to make it like, there's many more, but have to have passion, vision, be able to kind of have work ethic and creativity and self-starting, be able to kind of persist are kind of super important. And these are at least the things that came to my mind. Edison steal from Tesla. We're all learning from each other. So Nikola Tesla is obviously an amazing innovator. So I think focus on, but still he's an amazing entrepreneur. You don't focus on the negative aspects of these entrepreneurs. Focus on what it is, that mattered, if they change the world or not. You could say Newton stole from Leibniz, you can say all sorts of things, but the net of it is that we have calculus, right? So one of the things that applies to all of you is that lots of entrepreneurs are young, right? There's something about being, and it gives you this this risk-taking ability that you don't really care, because there's nothing that in the world that's waiting for you to be like taken care of. You don't have to worry about mortgage, 2 kids, whatever. Even though there's lots of entrepreneurs do that as well. This think about younger minds are like they have this what we call they're not constrained. There's a elaborate. I can do it. I can. It doesn't matter, right? So there's lots of examples like there's Google, Stanford. I only gave US universities, not knowing the Indian entrepreneur ecosystem, but I'm sure there are many, many out there. There's Napster. You probably don't know this. We all loved, enjoyed Napster. FedEx. A lot of people don't know FedEx came out of Yale. And it was like a business case study. It was a great story. You should definitely study these stories, inspire you. Microsoft, everybody knows. Any examples? Anybody else can come up with examples in India? I'd love to learn as well from you. That amazing entrepreneurs that came out of colleges and built. I'm sure there's new ones. Facebook, yeah. Udaan, IIT Delhi, Byju's. Byju's didn't come out of the, but maybe it does. But Flipkart, YouTube from UIUC, Facebook, yeah, Swiggy, Flipkart. See, you also have many examples already here. So get inspired. So you're all in the right. You're at the right space, right time. Technology is everywhere. So you already know the examples. So key thing is that you don't need to have MBAs to build, right? You need passion, vision, and ability to take risks and just be persistent and don't take a no for an answer. You will build it, right? And I will be amiss if I don't say lots of women are great entrepreneurs, right? There is, I'm sure there's quite a few on the call here, and I have my daughter. It's important to recognize that the mindset is that they're super smart. I think Rashmi here built SlideShare. Even today, one of the top platforms that LinkedIn uses to kind of, Code for America. There's amazing entrepreneurs. This was the slide I made for 9th graders to teach entrepreneurship in India. So these are all little older ones, but there are many more, right? I'm sure there's many women entrepreneurs in India that are building. There's an edtech company that started by the women entrepreneur CEO. There's lots of them that I know, and phenomenal thinkers and exceptional entrepreneurs come out of both male and female. So a little bit, think about there's lots of questions about when you get started. You need to have a plan, right? You need to what are the things that you need to do? Right? Maybe there's lots of things you can do, but few things, what do companies need to do? I mean, maybe they're not the right title, but first is focus on a problem. Right? Don't focus on building up a company, focus on a problem. This is what I want to change, or we want to change, I want to change. That's very, very key first. Companies get built. It's just a matter of putting documentation and giving it a name, right? A lot of times it's very important to find partners, the co-founders, early employees, they're all business, they're super important. They think multiple things that will help you. One is it'll help you balance your thinking. It helps you give different perspective to solving problems. It helps you the horsepower to build that problem. When I say business partners, these are all co-founders, early, early colleagues that join you. All of this is super important. These are the ones, all of them will only join you because you have a vision, passion for problem solving. They won't join you because, because all of them are the ones that make the company, right? Start hacking, build a product right away. Build prototypes, build things. Don't go fundraising. Don't do PowerPoints. First build things, because fundraising will come to you if you build products. But if you put PowerPoint and go to raise money, every day home you come in, have some chai and start getting depressed because you will have n comments about what you need to do, which slide need to exist. But if you start building a product and keep showing the progress, you won't have that problem. Define a business model up front. It's very important. Think about different ways of that company will succeed on its own in the end journey. Right? Initially, you have to have a vision of what the model, how do you make money? I think this is no longer a problem lately, but it used to be a problem of my generation where we ended up building platforms without any business models. I don't see that much of a problem lately here. And mainly because you have to have a plan. They call it a business plan. It has lots of different things. It has problem statement, market, what is the market? How much big is the market? Who will pay? What is so the plan is lots of elements of a business plan. There's lots of sites out there, lots of easier way, and I can even share some, very easy way of thinking of it. But it's important you write it down in some form or the other, whether you write it in a series of points, Slides are, you write it as a document. It's very important that you need to kind of document a plan. You know, a lot of times when we start businesses, the biggest thing we do is like make these assumptions. Oh, we'll have 10,000 paying customers on year one, or everybody would need this. You know, I can't, like, you know, whatever. You'll make like tons of assumptions but you don't know you're making it. When you're doing this, you're constantly making these assumptions. I think I make it all day long. It's very important to validate your assumptions continuously to assess the risks. And you'll build a better company over time, because if you don't write them down with the risks and assumptions you're making, you end up not, you know, doing yourself a justice, because you will just, you know, walk in that, like it's on, you know, just walk in your own assumptions and end up falling, you know, might not be the right castle to build. My request to you is solve big problems, right? And I only put some here that matter to the world, but there are many that matter to the world. There are so many problems out there in affordable medicine, truth in information, you know, food for 10 billion people. Like, you know, we are, you know, how do we feed health conscious? You know, there's so much of, you know, there's various ways of, like, if you look at companies here that are really tackling that problem, or like, you know, there's you know, plant-based protein, people are, you know, become big companies here. Alternate energies, poverty, you know, global crisis, water crisis, climate change, you know, species, like there's so much going on, right? In a bigger world. And there's also other things going on that in your world. So big focus on, you know, problems that matter, so my thing is now go be change agents, right? So I mean, I could go on and on, but I would rather have a conversation, perhaps answer a few questions here, but ultimately be change agents. You know, my wish to you, and, you know, is as you kind of come out of school or focus on fundamentals, try to make the world a better place with your vision and the mission that you build in future. So that's all I got. So what I'll do is that if you type your questions, should we share all info about our startup with our business partners? Yes. So meaning that you should be, the only thing that you don't share, I mean, Tinker at least, the only thing I don't, but, you know, everybody has information about how we're doing on a weekly basis, is, I hope that's the question. I think it's very important that you share information, because nobody gives you 4 or 5 years of their life just because they cannot have information. You got to share information. How to attract customers easily, you know, ask them what problem they're facing and see what, and build something to them, and then they'll come to you. That's how you attract customers. And you need to ask customers, what is the problem you're solving is correct or not? And if you are, then you need to validate. Find the first 10 of them that can't live without the product, then you get the next 1,000. Okay, so mentors, what to set expectations, what to give them. I think mentors will give you advice and time. What to give them, there's different, I mean, like, you know, different people have different requirements, but if mentors are coming in to kind of help to take, because they need to benefit from you, they're not really right mentors. You know, mentors need to see you succeed. And in the process, they make some, if you end up giving them some advisory shares or something, that'll be great. And there are standards out there. What do we do when we fail or fall? No problem, you learn. Actually, we all have done it. I've done it in the first company. If you don't learn, failure is no big deal. You fail, so what? You know, you learn from it and you start again, and don't repeat those mistakes. But don't think it's like something because somebody succeeded, you fail is not it's not a win-lose game.
Hello, sir. Can you got my voice? I have a question for that. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
I'm reading the chat here, but go for it.
Yes, so you said that should we should make an MVP before you go to investors and show your PPT. So, okay, if you make a MVP and you got a good response, so what is the right approach to approach for the investors? You should go to LinkedIn or making connection or sending message, or is it any right or approach to approach the investors? Like I did the same. I launched my MVP 3 months ago, and it's had 100K plus downloads on Play Store, but I don't know how to approach investors.
Investors, there are many investors in India, a lot of angel investors. You need to, as a founder, you need to network with people who will give you money. Like ask the other founders to do an introduction for you to the real investors. LinkedIn is not an investor network. Right? You need to go through angel networks, or you can go through VCs. They'll do angel funding if you need angel based on what it is. This is Amit, right? I don't know who that is, but
Nitish.
okay, so I think a lot of people here can help. There's lots of people out there. Let's see. The way I have raised money is that I had known, investors here. That's the networking you need to do as a founder. You have to find out who will fund you.
Okay.
Somebody said, how is Tinker able to survive in today's competition with similar services? With differentiation, we built something amazing at a software level that's very unique to us. And we are the first ones off the gate. We're the ones who innovated here. And we have lots of innovations and students love it. And there'll be services like that. Competition is always coming. So you just have to be, in forefront of it and do. What will happen to EdTech after lockdown? I don't know. I'm sure it'll have its own reckoning in sense of then people will be, stressed out to doing remotely using video. We'll have a downturn as well. How in the current startup climate, the tech bubble, the car companies we work, Byju's valued at 5 billion, I know Byju's founder quite well, but you don't know what he's doing. So we can't be what they call armchair quarterbacks. He's got a vision of where he wants to go, that for which he needs money. So he's raising lots of money. So I can't comment on him. But are we in a bubble? I don't think so. I think it's the greatest time to build companies. I think companies have lots of good fundamentals. Of course, there's a correction, market corrections will happen. How you see undergrad startups, okay, so you in the world where students are already pressure for placements, you got to make up your mind whether you want to be an entrepreneur, I would recommend, if you have an idea you already built, you know how to build it, yes, you can be. Otherwise, go learn. There's nothing wrong with it. We all have learned in startups. You don't need to be an entrepreneur right off the school. It's not a degree. I told you, it's a state of mind, and you can be an entrepreneur in your 80s. Is there any insurance for a loss? No. That's funny. I don't think you should think about it that way. You should think about it like, give your best shot. You fail, you learn from it. Yes, it'll sting you, but it's not, it's nothing against it. In fact, you're better off than many other people. You've learned something, right? It's a lot of journeys go like that. 95% of the startups fail, or more than that. And I've invested in a company called Splash Math, where the founders, 5 IITians, failed and spent 6 years building a company, didn't go anywhere. So we helped them. They restarted again with a different ambition. We helped them fund them. Now they're really, really successful. They just raised lots of money, $100 million valuation. So failure is not a big deal if you learn from it. How can you increase connections with angel investors? There are actually people on this call. My buddy Sushil is an investor at CD Ventures. Sushil, can you just maybe just drop a note how to reach them if you guys are looking at these things as well? If not, that's okay. There are lots of them here that are like that can help you in this call itself. Your top 5 books for young entrepreneurs, that I have. I'll recommend 2 books. One book is called Rules for Revolution. They're both by the same person, Guy Kawasaki. It's easy reads. These are good for engineers. So first book called Rules for Revolutionaries. It's thinking about how to think differently. Second book is The Art of Start. Both of them are amazing books you must read. And then the biggest thing that we lack as engineers is how to present well. So you have to learn to present. There's a book called, this I recommend to everybody. So maybe these are the only 3 books I know. They're called Presenting to Win. Those are the 3 books I recommend. Let's see. How did you go about selling your company to AT&T? With the help of all of my good friends here, Sushil helped me a lot. He was our engineer coming in, lawyer. It takes the team, and most importantly, selling to AT&T was about like, do people want to buy your company, and why do they want? The people just don't want to buy the company because you have a company, right? AT&T wanted to increase their data revenues from sports users, and that's what we had, and that's it's culminated into acquisition. So companies get sold because Clone Future, I know this person, they built an amazing edtech company in India. How can we take up our startup in Silicon Valley? Many different ways. Valley is very easy. You come up here, create a corporation for US and find customers just like anywhere else. Like, we have the same issue. How do we make Tinker successful in India? Same thing, you have to do here, the hard yards, I guess. We are beginners. Practically, we don't know anything about startups. We may have the capacity to think, but as beginners, you think of problems and hack problems. You have a lot of time, prototype problems, that's what I'll focus on. Startups will happen if you start solving problems first. Yeah, I'm a first year student. What should I do? Learn, read, deeply understand the problem. You don't need to, if you really understand you have that skill, no problem. You drop out and build a company or whatever you want to do, but you really need to learn a lot. You got to have, startups which are super successful have deep insights into the fields they're building in. How do you market your product and what's your target audience? You'll figure it out, because if you're solving a problem for a target audience, you know where to find those audience. If you are not solving a problem, you won't be able to find that. They'll become very easy once you build that. It sounds like a cliche answer, but it's true. What exactly are the prerequisites required for an undergrad student to set their foot in startup world? Deep knowledge. All these people who build great companies have a phenomenal knowledge. So you read, learn, become an amazing programmers. You got to have strong skills to build things like that. Can anyone drop the names I'll send the names of, I'm sure, like somebody, I'll write to Tanishk and he'll be able to share it with you all. I'll also share the presentation if it's useful. Indian ecosystem stands against US given the marketing gimmicks played by. I don't know, I can't answer that EdTech ecosystem, but we can have a conversation about EdTech later, but I want to be general purpose available for everybody. But I'm happy to answer that as well. I don't know gimmicks, everything becomes gimmicky initially to acquire customers, and then over time people ideate. Companies, I always remember these companies are trying to change habits of the consumers. So they might give away a computer, they might give away things. Don't think of a gimmicks. Over time, everybody will, everything normalizes. Gimmicks will go away, business models evolve. Everybody's hacking the market right now to acquire more users, become the default. Yesterday, I think there's news, Byju's bought like Akash centers for $1 billion. So somebody said why is he raising so much money? So out of 2.5 billion, 1 billion went for that, right? So there's lots of vision that people have. They have their ideas, rules. Okay. We have to trust a lot of our business. When I say business partners, we're talking about co-founders and early employees. If you don't trust them, you don't have a company. Of course, early customers, you have to trust. They're also your business partners. You have to trust them as well. You have to share as much information. You have to trust. Trust is the underpinning of business. You have to build that. I said, I'm a 15-year-old who has built a live learning marketplace for all ages. We have a team of 80 people. I need a guidance. Okay, well, I'll reach out to me, Shreyan. We'll talk later if I can help. How can I start a consumer electronics company better than Apple from my college? Do you have an idea how to build something that's amazing? Do you know how to build consumer electronics from hand? Yeah, I mean, everything is disruptable. Think of it. Companies have built smartwatches, well, Apple is there. Companies have built lots of things, but try and build something initially that Apple doesn't have and see if you can, and it becomes a big hit, and then you can build many after that. You installed, I don't know what that means. Insta, I don't have an Instagram. I only have Twitter. I don't have Facebook either. Just trying to save my time on a daily basis. So in fact, Twitter also, I've made a considered effort not to read tweets this year because it's just a time consuming thing. You have to focus on what matters to you. I think that's the question maybe. How can I get the first customer if the startup is B2B space? I don't know B2B well, to be honest with you. I mean, I do in a previous life, what happens if you're building, even for B2B customers have problems, you need to call up and say, is this a problem? They will tell you, hey, this is not a problem. You already use the software. But, if you solve something, Tinker is about, not Tinker, like companies are about initially the first 10 customers, founders have to go get. They don't come to you. First 1,000, like, okay, let me take an example of Tinker. How did we get first? We started off, 6 months we went to local schools, 28 of them taught. I told the teacher that you take a break and we'll run the class. 6 months. They loved it. Students loved it. We got the first 1,000 students. And the teachers telling other teachers, hey, I love Tinker. This is a great software. My kids love it. That's how we went from 0 to 1,000 to 10,000 students to 1 million students. What's next for Tinker? Goal is to light up the whole world of K-12 computer science with software and content that kids find it happy and interesting to learn computer science. What's next for Tinker? It's always the same. These are great questions. You guys have tons of passion. There's lots of amazing questions. Those 2-3 books, they're a little expensive, but they'll really help you. Please read. My thing is like, great companies have deep technical stacks or deep like knowledge stacks in different things. Don't assume that, Uber doesn't have technology or thinks they have deep technology stacks, right? So you have to build, if you're building for a technology, if you're building technology solutions, so learn, you should, somebody in your team should be an amazing designer, developer. It's like it's RU, so it's a must. How can I know about the saturation level in a particular field? Read. You like read reports. There are tons of research out there, that's happening constantly. It's just information is everywhere. This is this team, you're all so lucky. There's so much information, so many open source tools, so many, like you don't like in our case, when we first started companies, we had to kind of rent a space to put 3 servers, and, make sure there's somebody in the, again, servers go down, somebody goes in the night to fix them. Don't have those problems. You just set up Amazon Cloud, even Amazon will give you cloud credits. It's so much easier, but it's so much harder in the sense a lot of people are solving problems. So you have to solve like unique problems. You have to be able to build features. What else is there? There are 2 more new messages. Somebody said, sometimes I think all the movies and books are actually available for free on the internet, but still people buy it. Well, you don't want to plagiarize. What happens when you build a company and somebody plagiarizes? How do you feel? I think if you can afford it, I think you should buy it or pay for a service. Makes a difference. Well, I hope you got something out of this conversation. I got plenty, learn, getting to know you. Thanks for participating. And I can't wait to see what you all build.
Thank you so much, sir. It was quite an inspiring and motivating story you have shared with us. I believe students here are charged to start their entrepreneurial journey. So I believe everyone learned and gained a lot from this session. Also, thanks to all the attendees who joined in to make this session interactive and engaging. We will be having our next session of the Founder Speak soon, and it will be communicated to you all shortly. Till then, goodbye and take care. Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you,
day.
sir.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.